Unit 3 deals with DNA, one of the major components, and in this particular short video, we'll talk a little bit about the use of DNA and CODIS. As you know, DNA is one of the best law enforcement tools that have been discovered in the past 30 years. First it was fingerprints, then it became DNA, became the norm. So you're all familiar with DNA. Whether you're getting hairs from a crime scene, or blood stains from a homicide crime scene, or whether you're getting clothing from a crime scene where there was a sexual assault, DNA is one of the best tools you can use. In short, DNA assists in solving crime. One of the key points in using or in use of DNA and the use of DNA testing is the fact that biological evidence is present at the crime scene. And if that is the case, DNA is available. DNA can be used to identify a subject or, just as importantly, exclude a suspect. As you determine who your possible suspects are, DNA can help you sort out either the subject or the suspect. It's useful in many cases, and only your imagination is your limitation, but the most valuable is in cold cases. As you know, DNA started in the 1980s. DNA collection started in the 1980s, and a database was initiated in 1994 through CODIS called the National DNA Index System, INDEX, and basically you can query your DNA results against that database or against that network. Currently, CODIS is fed by 190 labs domestically and also 70 law enforcement labs domestically, as well as 40 countries internationally. And in CODIS, the DNA profiles are separated by the following: a convicted offender and arrestee, and this is why when a subject is convicted, they're required to entertain a DNA test, a sample test. Forensics is the number 2 category, again, as we talked about, where biological evidence was present. The third area is missing persons. The fourth area is biological relatives of missing persons. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal just a couple weeks ago, sometime mid-May or June, where they talked about a whole bunch of family members in San Antonio gathering to help identify the biological links of a missing person through DNA. That was kind of a national story, in fact. It helps with the unidentified human remains. If you're determining if that's your crime scene. It helps with the pedigree tree representation between missing persons or more relatives. It's an effective tool for criminal and counterterrorism investigations. As you know, a lot of DNA has been used in the Middle East in the recent wars. DNA is used in cases where the remains have been exposed to the elements over a long period of time, and it's used to confirm a person's identity, or it can also provide a closure to families who are missing people either way. So those are different ways of using it. And there was a recent case, Russell and Blanche Warren disappeared in 1929, and this was discovered in the early 2000s. This case was solved, their identities confirmed as their bodies were found in the bottom of a lake, is based on the Olympic National Park in Washington, state of Washington. But that serves as an example. And in this next YouTube that I'll attach, you'll see a little bit more about how to obtain DNA from underwater scenarios. Thank you.
Created using Powtoon.